Hello, third graders, and welcome to your skills lesson. And we're going to be working on lesson 9, and we're going to learn all about birds. So your learning targets for today, you should be able to read birds with purpose and understanding. And then in your second skills video, you will learn how to identify an abstract noun in a sentence. So if you think back to a couple weeks ago, we learned that scientists have organized the animal kingdom to reflect different groups based on certain characteristics. And today we are going to explore the bird group. So sometimes before we start reading, especially if we start reading about a new topic, we sometimes use a KWL chart. The first thing we need to do is think about what are some things we already know about birds. And we would list those underneath the K section of our chart. So think about some things that you could put in that section about what you already know about birds. Okay, now we could use our table of contents of our book to turn to birds, and then we would look at that very first page of the text. And then start thinking about what you might want to know or learn about birds. What are some questions that you have about birds? And we would put those in the W section of our KWL chart. So what are some things that you would like to learn about birds? All right, so if we take a look at this group of pictures, we see all different kinds of birds. And as we read today, remember that a glossary can help us determine the meaning of bolded words. Remember that bolded words are words that are in that darker print than the other words around it. And we always want to look closely at the images, whether it's pictures or illustrations, and we want to read the captions to reinforce our comprehension of what we are reading. And then we want to think about what new information we are learning about birds, and that way we can place it in the L section of our KWL chart. So let's take a look at this word. This word is nature, and the letter T represents the ch sound. Now, this sound of the letter T is kind of a rare spelling for the T, so you will not find it in your individual code chart. Another example of this sound spelling pattern is the word creature. So the T in the word creature also makes that ch sound. So let's look at this group of photographs. What do you notice? And the caption underneath this group of photographs says, different kinds of birds live in many different habitats. So let's read the next slide to answer, what is a feature of birds that permits them to live in many different habitats? Chapter 7, Birds. Yoo-hoo! Over here, it's Rattenborough. So far you have learned about the following groups of animals within the animal kingdom: mammals, reptiles, fish, and amphibians. Do you remember all their different characteristics? Do you remember that we said that fish were the largest group of vertebrates in the animal kingdom? Well, today we are going to talk about the second largest group of vertebrates, birds. Birds belong to a group all their own. Birds, like all living things, are highly adaptive, meaning they can survive in many different habitats. You can find them in deserts and in the coldest places on Earth. Many love forests, and there are only a few birds found way out to sea, many miles from land. But if you are out in a boat only a few miles from land, you may see many seabirds, such as seagulls. All right, so let's think about that question that we asked before we read that page from our text. What is a feature of birds that permits them to live in many different habitats? Do you remember? Yes, it's because birds are highly adaptive, like all living things, meaning they can survive in many different habitats, just like this group of photographs here. So let's think here. Let's take a look at this photograph and read this caption. The caption here says a flock of migrating birds. So let's read the next slide to answer, what do many birds do that salmon also do? Like mammals, birds are warm-blooded. Many birds migrate when the seasons change. In late fall, they fly in groups called flocks from colder places to warmer places. Then, in the spring, after winter is over, they migrate back to the place where they were in the fall. Birds are the only animals, besides some insects and bats, that are able to fly like an airplane. All right, so let's think about that question we asked before. What do many birds do that salmon also do? That's right. They migrate when the seasons change. Let's take a look at this vocabulary word. This word is penguin. And a penguin is a bird that cannot fly. It has black and white feathers and uses its wings for swimming. Now the letter U in this word represents the W sound. So that's how we get penguin. And it's a very rare spelling pattern for the W sound. So you will not see it on your individual code chart. But another example of a word with this spelling pattern is the word language. The U also makes the W sound. Let's take a look at these two vocabulary words also. The word feather and weather. Look at the EA in both words. This pattern makes the short E or sound. And you could find this pattern on page 3 of your individual code chart. So let's take a look at this group of photographs. Do you know the names of all these birds? The caption at the very bottom of this group of photographs says, "All birds have wings and feathers, but not all birds can fly." Let's read the next slide to answer, how do birds who cannot fly adapt to their environment to survive? All birds have wings, but not all birds are able to fly. Penguins are probably the best known birds that do not fly. Penguins make up for not flying by being great swimmers. Ostriches are the largest of all birds. They can't fly either, but they sure can run very fast. They also lay the world's largest eggs. Besides wings, all birds have 2 legs and a mouth without teeth, called a beak. A key characteristic of birds is that they all have feathers. Feathers help these warm-blooded animals fly and help them maintain a constant body temperature. Bird feathers come in all kinds of colors and sizes. A bird's feathers are also called plumage. Peacocks have the fanciest plumage of all. They like to show it off by fanning their long, colorful feathers. So let's think about that question we saw before we read that page. How do birds who cannot fly adapt to their environment to survive? Yes, penguins make up for not flying by being great swimmers. Ostriches, the largest of all birds, can't fly either, but they sure can run very fast. Take a look at this photograph. What's happening here? The caption says, "Baby birds are being fed by their parents." Let's read the next slide to fill in these blanks. Birds make their nests high up in blank, or in blank. Most birds are nesting animals. Many birds make their own nest, often high up in the trees or in thick bushes. They use bits and pieces of nature, such as twigs and parts of plants, to create their nest. Other birds build their nests in tree holes. Some bird nests are made of mud. Most birds lay eggs in their nests. Some lay a bunch of eggs, and some lay only 1 or 2. The nest needs to be a safe place to protect the little eggs from the weather and other animals that might eat the eggs. Birds sit on their eggs to keep them warm and safe until the eggs hatch. Once they hatch, the baby birds need to eat. Mother and father birds fly out from the nest and find food for their babies. They fly back to the nest and place the food in each baby's beak. So let's think about this question. We had to find words to fill in the blanks from what we read. Birds make their nests high up in trees, in thick bushes, or in tree holes. You are so right. Examine this group of photographs. What do all these photographs have in common? Let's read the next slide to discover, what do birds eat and why do they sing? Many birds are omnivores. Some birds eat seeds and berries. Some eat insects. Some, like the great blue heron, eat fish. Hawks eat little mammals. Other birds, like tiny hummingbirds, eat nectar from flowers. And all birds drink water. Birds are also known for their songs. Their songs are used to attract mates and to claim a place as their own. Sometimes it seems as if they sing because they want to. Maybe they sing just to remind us how beautiful and interesting the animal kingdom is. So, what do birds eat and why do they sing? Yes, they eat seeds, berries, insects, fish, small mammals, and nectar. And their songs are used to attract mates and to claim a place as their own. So now that we're finished reading this chapter, let's check our comprehension. What did you learn today about birds that you would want to add to our KWL chart that we thought about at the beginning? What are some characteristics that all birds share? Yes, all birds have beaks, wings, feathers, and they're warm-blooded, and they all lay eggs. Now, name 2 flightless birds. Absolutely, penguins and ostriches. And what is a nest? And why do birds build them? A bird's home is where they protect their eggs. So now this is your spelling words for this week. Remember, we are working on knowing how to spell the root word when we add a suffix at the end. The suffixes that we are working on are ed or ing. So don't forget to be looking over your list and practicing those spelling and how we end words when we're adding ed or ing to those root words.